What's going on, guys? Welcome to episode 3 of Warzone Wednesday. Today's episode I want to talk about the future of PvP within Star Wars: The Old Republic. Now, this feature was suggested by a user known as WarFanPower. There'll be an annotation on the screen, link in the description. This was suggested on episode 1, and I just want to say really quick, leave a comment down below and leave a suggestion for the topic you want me to talk about in episode 4. And yeah, I'll pick one of the topics from the comments. So, the future of PvP in Star Wars: The Old Republic. Now, I think if PvP is gonna, well, actually no, let's backtrack a bit further. Let's go to the core of the game, what the game's all about. This game isn't a PvP based game; it's a PvE based game. But there are a lot of PvP mechanics in this game that do make it quite a strong contender. For example, there are open world PvP areas. So this was taken from games like Warhammer Online and Dark Age of Camelot. That open world PvP is a spectacular mechanic. It can be quite unbalanced, but you know, that's MMOs in general, not so much. It's very hard to get a balanced game that utilizes open world PvP, and so I think, you know, having that sort of that mechanic within Star Wars does work really well. I mean, you see in the Star Wars universe, it fits the story really well. You see in the movies and reading the books and stuff that a lot of the conflicts that go along around in the universe just matches that whole PvP idea and stuff. So, but you've also obviously got the war zones as well. We've seen these in PvE games. That's nothing new, really. It was kind of like expected that they were going to do that. They weren't just not going to put any PvP in at all. I'm sure they would not have a lot of players if there was going to be no PvP. And then there's also open PvP zones within some of the other planets as well. So, for example, Tatooine's got an open PvP zone. Not the whole planet is open PvP, just the certain designated zone. And that really does, again, it allows you to go to different planets. It's not just one zone at the moment that's open PvP. So that's really nice. But so that's like kind of the core mechanics. And then the rest of the game is PvE. It is, again, still a PvE based game, but it has got a lot of the big things that PvP based games have had, such as open PvP and different tiers of PvP gear. Now, we've seen in games, for example, World of Warcraft, that's had a similar sort of PvP mechanic as this has got, in the sense that the way the gear is acquired, in that there's different levels of that gear. So you could almost say like tiers and stuff for that gear in PvP. So you've got the basic gear, then you've got the champion, then the battle master, and then the centurion, and that's really how it goes. And these are acquired by doing like the war zones and open PvP. But I think if the PvP is gonna have a future in this game, they are gonna have to do a few changes and also add a few things. Now, this game's PvP does not match up to Warhammer Online's. It never has done, and I don't think it ever will. I don't think any PvP game or any MMO in general will match up to the PvP in Warhammer Online. You know, it may have been unbalanced and buggy, but at the end of the day, it was still a fantastic mechanic, and it just worked so well sometimes. So that was brilliant. But the future of PvP anyway, I think they'd have to make quite a few changes and also add a few different concepts into this game to make PvP more more attractive to players, and introduce it to PvE players as well. And I think one way that will be done is through PvP dungeons. We've seen this again in Warhammer Online, the Skaven dungeon. That was a PvE instance dungeon, but you also had the PvP concept, because both realms could queue and join that Skaven that instance and fight each other whilst also taking down the boss and getting the loot. I think that could work really, really well in this game. Maybe add some more open PvP zones with bosses in them and stuff. That'll be really nice. And I'm not on about like open world PvP bosses. I'm on about like actual instances, kind of like like the Skaven instance in Warhammer Online, where you can just hop in, and you know, if there's the like Sith in there or Republic, whatever, and fight against each other whilst also taking down the boss. I think that could work really, really well, because that Skaven instance in Warhammer Online, a lot of it people just farmed, but when they did go up against enemy pre-made versus pre-made, it was excellent. It was a lot of fun. So it did offer it was a lot more challenging gameplay as well, having to deal with this boss and a lot of the AoE damage and stuff, whilst also watching your back and watching your friendly plays back from all the enemies. It was really good fun. So I think that's one thing they could do to increase the PvP fun factor in this game and make it more attractable for other players. The other thing I think they should do is kind of a given, really, is arenas. Now, this wasn't in Warhammer Online, and I don't think it was in Dark Age Camelot either, but we have seen the arena, the arena mechanic in World of Warcraft, and it worked sort of well. For example, some classes are only good in either certain arenas or like certain levels. So you had 2v2s, 3v3s, and 5v5s. I think if arenas are going to work in Star Wars Red Republic, I think they'd only have to do one bracket instead of doing 2, 3s, and 5s. And I think either 2v2 or 3v3s would work well. I think if they offered different brackets, it wouldn't necessarily be good enough because there wouldn't be as many players playing it. Because you got to take into account there isn't as many people playing this as there is World of Warcraft. Alright, there is still over 1 million players playing it. It's still not that popular yet to have those different brackets, but to be honest, I think it would work better with having 3v3 or 2v2. 5v5 would probably be too much. I think you could have some classes, like class combinations in 5v5 that would pretty much make the game unwinnable for both teams. So having that 3v3 or 2v2 mechanic would probably work really well, and having a separate currency for arenas, and maybe even having separate PvP gear for arenas would probably work really well. That would be a really nice sort of feature. Again, like in World of Warcraft, the conquest points, they were only earned in like rated battlegrounds or arenas, and that allowed you to access like much higher level gear and much higher like stat wise gear than the basic PvP gear for that level that you get in like battlegrounds and etc. like that. So arenas definitely I think could work really well, and maybe even like open world arenas, or arenas that are actually in the zones in this, not open world, but like arenas that are in the zones and you can go in instance one and then they join up, because again they could tie in with the story, because we've got to remember this is a story driven game. The main juice to this game is the story, so all of these different ideas they could really tie into the story of this game. And I think again arenas could work really well within the story, in open world zones, or just basically any planet. It would work really nice. The third and final thing I think they should do to make PvP more fun is, again, kind of obvious really, is increase the amount of open world PvP. Now, obviously, if you join a PvP server, it is going to be open world PvP anyway. That's the whole point of a PvP server. But I mean, on the PvE servers as well, they should have more planets that are open PvP. Now, hopefully in future expansions and patches to come, they do add more planets. But it would be nice to see more, because so far the only total open world planet with objectives and stuff is Ilum, which is the level 50 only planet. You can go there pre-level 50, but you're probably going to get owned, so I wouldn't recommend it. And I think if they do add more whole open planet world PvP areas, that would work really well. I know there's like the ones in Tatooine and stuff, but they're just certain zones. They're more like the lakes in Warhammer. I think the idea of having the whole world open PvP is just spectacular. And again, it fits in really well with the story and just gives you that sense of large-scale epic proportions that are in the Star Wars universe. It's what Star Wars is all about. Star Wars isn't just those 6 films that you've seen at the cinema. Star Wars is a vast universe with loads and loads and loads of different things in. So having the whole world that is open PvP with loads of different areas is just a brilliant idea. And I think there's so many planets and so many areas that they could utilise. Like when I've been levelling, I've seen a certain area on Tatooine or seen a certain area on Coruscant, which made me think, God, that would be a brilliant open PvP zone. So hopefully we'll see what's to come, and that would be really nice if they could turn like areas into like open PvP zones, and that would be really cool. So that's what I think they're going to have to do to keep the future of PvP going. I think people are finding the PvP in this game quite boring, and I can sort of understand why, definitely. It's not the PvP experience that Warhammer Online gave you, but I think it definitely could be with a little more fine-tuning, a little more work, a few other things here and there, and I think it could be a brilliant PvP experience, and definitely one of the higher up in the charts for PvP experience anyway. So again, let me know your opinions on this. Leave a comment down below. I'd love to hear what you think about this and what you think will keep PvP fun in Star Wars and make the future for PvP bright in the game. So if you want to get your suggestions in for episode 4, then leave a comment down below as well, and I'll take the suggestion from the comments. Or if I don't think there's any that I really want to talk about, then I'll have a look on the forums. I always look on the forums for topics. If I see one that catches my eye, I'll talk about it. And or you can send me a PM as well on YouTube, just like subject the line Warzone Wednesday subject or whatever, and I'll read that and reply. So thank you for watching. Until the next episode, I'll see you later.